because when I turned 70, that was a terrible shock. I didn't mind turning 30. I was pregnant and already had a baby. I don't even think I noticed it. 40 was in the middle of it all. 50, 50 was kind of strange, but that was the year I quit drinking. I've been sober for 22 years now. And I was 51. No, anyway, whatever. And so that was a huge change. And, so now by the time when I hit 70, it was just before the pandemic. Anyway, I thought, oh, I'm not going to say anything about this on, Facebook or Instagram or anything. My age is beyond belief. I don't believe it. But then all of a sudden I was 71. And then, oh my God, it was 72. I couldn't stop it. And so this year, 73, or actually it was at 72, I woke up and thought, I don't even know how old I am. And I just feel like myself, whoever that is now. Mm-hmm. That is the first time the meaning of the word ageless came into play. Mm-hmm. Like the world and society, whatever, can say whatever they want about, judge a 73-year-old woman and however they want to do it, whatever age group, whatever. For me, it was the first time I realized that within myself, I am just myself. I'm not my age. And freeing.
Welcome to Old Guy Talks to Me, a podcast dedicated to helping guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. Ladies, if you want to know what your guy is thinking, this podcast is for women too. Each week, a special guest helps you create that life you've imagined. We talk anti-aging medicine, personal growth, relationships and hot sex. Yeah, you hear me, getting laid more frequently. Other guy vices, and topics that many don't want to talk about but need to. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be old. Don't want to miss anything? Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review this podcast. And be sure to go to www.thestandard.academy/magazine and grab a free copy of our new digital magazine, The Standard Academy, where we talk about erogenous zones, growing hair back, and other things that will help you create that kick-ass life. Now get ready to listen up and share with friends.
This is Hormone, the official old guy at oldguytalkstome.com, a podcast dedicated to helping older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. That's right. And so one of the things about getting older is, well, the quality and the longevity. And just because, and one of the things that I've said in the past is, just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be old. And I've run into some old people that are old in their 40s, let alone 70s or 80s. It's kind of tragic. But today we have a special guest, Ruth Yunker. She's an author and humorist. She's a writer, humorist, and traveler. She's also a fledgling model at age 73. She's been writing books for 40 years and has published short stories, magazine articles, and book reviews. She's published 3 books, which are all available on Amazon, and there'll be a link in the show notes, as well as a link to her social media sites and her websites in the show notes. And her first 2 books are about long stays in Paris, solo, learning to be polite and happy American in Paris and doing it their way. They are Me, Myself, and Paris. And Paris, I've grown accustomed to your ways. Her current book, Baby, I'm the Boss of Me, My Journey to Ageless, consists of stories of her life and how she now is facing the 3rd trimester of life with joy, personal power, and above all, a healthy sense of humor. Her confidence and joie de vivre come from having lived a multifaceted life, which has included much travel. She's married twice, raising 2 children and caring for both her parents through their final years. And along the way, they raised and loved a multitude of cats. A dog should be in her future. Yes. Ruth is a student of life and an amateur but enthusiastic sociologist. She also believes in yoga, which I think is a 4-letter word, for all the answers, and for all the answers, ice cream for dessert. And she's working to promote her book, which I think is going to be really, really good. So Ruth, thanks for coming on the program, on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So
And I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Orest?
Forrest, like Forrest without the F.
Yeah, that's an interesting name.
Yeah.
What
has
nationality is it?
well, my ancestry is, my parents came over from Ukraine.
Okay.
And, yeah. And, when I said Ukraine, in 2021, no one knew where it was.
Oh, I know where it is.
Yeah, there it
I
goes.
knew
Like,
back then where it was.
is that part of Russia?
Oh boy.
That was some of the most common things, but no, but the name actually comes from Greek mythology. It was a play by, I can't remember now. I should remember this, but it was a long time ago. I looked it up. But a play called Orestes, and it's not a happy ending.
Oh,
It's
well, it
not a
never
happy.
is.
Yeah, Greek tragedies. What a surprise. Yeah, so he was Agamemnon was the brother of, who was the husband to Paris? No, to
Yes.
you don't know, yeah, well, whatever. But
There are too many of them.
there are too many of them. But the end result was he ended up killing his mother because she had killed her husband after he came back after 20 years of war, and then he was sentenced to go crazy in the countryside, running around naked. But that was his fate.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Well,
so
that
that's,
part could be fun.
well, I don't think it was. I think it was. I don't think it was a fun trip.
Desert.
Yeah. Desert, lots of thorns. Uh, so Ruth, I like to ask my guests the same first question. What is the most important thing you've done today?
Had an argument with my grown son just now.
Oh, okay. Anything you want to share with us about that?
Well, first of all, he's 44. He's a
Mhm.
psychologist, and but he's a spear fisherman. That's one of his big avocations, and it's so mundane, but it's also, I also find these things interesting. At the end of the day, I'll say one of the best parts was, the fact that I live so close to my grown son. He stopped by to drop off some of his frozen fish because they've run out of room in their freezer. So he
Mhm.
keeps some of it over here. And I made some quick comment about white sea bass. Apparently it's very big, very difficult to catch, and and I know all this. He's been doing this for 2 years now. I made some quick, somewhat kind of like obsession about sea bass. I don't know what, and it got him going on the wrong direction. So, and I had to, this time I decided, and knowing I was getting ready for you, I kept saying, usually I just kind of, this is great. Okay. Do you have children?
Yes, I got 2
Okay, so
daughters.
you know what it is, how they put us in our place all the time. Like they've got the right, and we let them until all of a sudden it's like, no. So we went back, not loud shouting, very, like I said, very calm. And it ended with a hug and a kiss and it's fine. I'm all for his spear fishing and sea bass, but that's what I've done so far.
Well, not to get off on a bad track here, Ruth, but
Oh, no,
one of my favorite things to order in a restaurant is chili and sea bass.
Oh my God. Spare me. I grew up Catholic. I can't deal with fish.
Oh, well, it's chili and sea bass. I don't know if you've had it or had.
Oh my God, he makes it. I mean,
he does it. Oh yeah,
chili and sea bass. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's I think
very much in the picture.
it's better than, in some ways. I think I like it better than steak on some days, depending on what I'm in.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I get it.
Okay, so let's talk about this aging stuff. And what is the most important thing to age well?
I'm not the one to say that, but I will say, okay, I think one of the most important things to aging well is keeping your health as good as you can keep it. And that means drinking a lot of water and walking every day. Those 2 things. After that, then there's everything else in there. But to me, that's because if your body is in good shape and you're getting oxygen to your brain, you can keep your psychological state, your psyche, in a better shape. So I'd say the most important is, get up and move. Then we can, during the next hour, we'll go through all the permutations. But believe me, I'm one of the oldest of 6 kids, and I have opinions and raise kids. And for some reason, I was afraid of getting older when I was, 20. But I don't know if you have this. The older I get, the less, afraid about death than I was. I'm more kind of pragmatic about it. Like, okay.
It's kind of interesting. I don't really, I've never really felt my mortality.
Yeah, no.
I know it's there.
Yeah.
The only time I did that was at the beginning of this year. I had a significant medical thing going on. It got all taken care of. I had an ostomy. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
It's not a pleasant thing. It's basically they separate your colon from your intestine, and
Dear.
you basically they create a hole in your stomach, and you ship through your stomach
Into
a bag.
Major.
Yeah. And so that came out of nowhere, and we dealt with it for about 4 months. I eventually got put back together again, and that was great. That was wonderful.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, but I generally don't think of my mortality, except sometimes when I hurt going to the gym. But outside of that,
That's what I call age.
Yeah, it's called age. But I don't really, I never really think about death, and maybe it's simply because I don't know about you, but my gene pool is such that no one died of natural causes before the age of 90.
Yeah, except my mother. She died of lung cancer, but my father lived to 93, and there was really nothing wrong with him. He just missed my mother. It had been 12 years. He said, I'm just done.
Yeah.
So.
And we came, my stock is, when I visited my family in Ukraine, I realized that we were hillbillies. And I mean, in a true sense, of unfiltered cigarettes and moonshine was what they subsided on. And so I realized that all the people that were prone to death due to any sort of diseases were wiped out many hundred years ago in my gene pool.
My parents are Southerners, although we grew up all over the place, and they both left Louisville, Kentucky, at about 22 for my father, and he was very successful and all that. So I've lived all over the world. But back in Louisville, I mean, our family has alcoholism, drug addiction. One of my grandfathers committed suicide. I mean, a lot of psychological issues and all of that. And in Louisville, we're just considered eccentric. So we need a therapist.
Well, that's the difference between crazy and eccentric is how much money you have. So if they were very successful, that's you're eccentric if you're you can be
schizophrenic, and they'll consider that you're eccentric. Neither of my parents believed in therapy, and yet 2 of their children are therapists. My son is a therapist. I believe in therapy. I mean, among everything else, like you mentioned, yoga is a dirty word, or 4-letter word.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever gotten injured.
Oh, like, well, I actually didn't have a good teacher.
I tore a bicep tendon in
Oh,
yoga.
how did you do that?
I just doing one of those reaching over your head moves, and I'm actually, because I'm a power lifter. I have been.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I've been for years, and I said, "Oh, let's go try this stretching thing," and it took a long time to heal.
Oh, it does. Those kind of injuries take a couple of years usually.
Actually, the only reason it healed up, every time I thought it was healed, it wasn't, and I kept on re-injuring. And I thought I was asymptomatic, but it wasn't healed. I was just asymptomatic.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's because people underestimate yoga. They think it's a stretching thing. It's not. It's pure muscle. It's like ballet. They look so graceful. Every muscle is engaged in their bodies, and that's why they need new hips at 45.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Some of those things are pretty tough, and you want. We have a chance. We live in Las Vegas, and so we get a chance to see some shows, and some of the the gymnasts that are in a lot of these shows are just absolutely incredible.
They do yoga.
Yeah, well, they do. Yeah.
I mean, they have to. That's part of their training. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Body awareness. My left arm goes this way, my leg goes that way. I turn this hip in, that one out. It's like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because also once you're in yoga for a while, I've been doing it for 25 years. I started late because before that I did ballet and running for 8 million years. I like it for the psychological calmness. It really does bring serenity to you if you do it, long enough and breathing correctly. But, not everybody wants to do yoga. So I get it. I tried it when I was about 25 and oh my God, I ran screaming.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ruth, what's different about this trimester than the previous trimester in your life?
Oh, you mean besides the fact that I'm over the age of 70?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's different about this trimester is, it started really more when I turned 60. I remember someone saying to me, come on in, honey, the water's fine, and she was over 60. I think it's not something that just changed overnight, but it was first of all, the lessening of actual needing to take care of somebody else. For the first time in my life, I actually live alone. Now, I grew up in a big family and I never managed to, and all I wanted to do ever was first have my own room, then I get married at 19, and then you've got this constant roommate till you get divorced, but by then you have children, and then I have another husband, and then between us, we put our two together and had 4, and then I took on my father and my mother. I didn't take them on, it was much better done than that, but and then animals, and how long they can go on, So I finally lived in my own apartment 5 years ago, and I am still thrilled. And I think so. One of the big things at this age is I don't have the personal responsibility to take care of, like feeding and all the rest of that, of somebody else, and that just lightened the load immediately, so that whatever age I happened to be at, that was just an amazing change for me. And that doesn't happen. I mean, a lot of people certainly don't want to be alone at my age, and I'm like, oh my God, bye-bye second husband, sorry you're gone, Dad, and oh, little kitty, I think you're 18 years old and you're having trouble breathing. Maybe I'll, and here's my own place. Thank God. So that's, for me, that's the biggest difference. And then just all along the accumulation, people always say, what's the meaning of wisdom and all that kind of stuff. And, just the accumulation of being determined to not be brought down by my age. Because when I turned 70, that was a terrible shock. I didn't mind turning 30. I was pregnant and already had a baby. I don't even think I noticed it. 40 was in the middle of it all. 50, 50 was kind of strange, but that was the year I quit drinking. I've been sober for 22 years now. And I was 51. No, anyway, whatever. And so that was a huge change. And, so now by the time when I hit 70, it was just before the pandemic. Anyway, I thought, oh, I'm not going to say anything about this on, Facebook or Instagram or anything. My age is beyond belief. I don't believe it. But then all of a sudden I was 71. And then, oh my God, I was 72. I couldn't stop it. And so this year, 73, or actually it was at 72, I woke up and thought, I don't even know how old I am. And I just feel like myself, whoever that is now. That is the first time the meaning of the word ageless came into play. Like the world and society, whatever, can say whatever they want about, judge a 73-year-old woman and however they want to do it, whatever age group, whatever. For me, it was the first time I realized that within myself, I am just myself. I'm not my age. I'm freeing.
So mentally, versus chronologically, how old do you consider yourself? Mentally, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. And see, mentally, okay, I feel 73 years old. I've earned every bit of my mental place where I am right now. I don't feel like a 6-year-old. Or I did post something on Instagram recently there's a little kid who goes around talking. She's trying to tell her daddy her dream, and she keeps getting, stuck on the details. And he finally slams the door on her as she's getting in the car, And I realized that I can talk like that. I can do a couple of accents, and that baby thing I could do. And I said, I can do that because I'm in touch with my inner child. I don't know, I was being funny and silly, but I'm in touch with my inner child. But my inner child was pretty serious, actually, and we moved a lot, and I was always having to be the new kid at the school. And I had all these younger brothers and sisters and things like that, But we're a funny family, and we laugh, and we're not funny, haha, like joke telling, but just in and of our conversations, we just can hit it on the nose. And so I feel like I'm 73. I know what I've been through to get here, and my mindset, and to the work it takes to keep a good mindset, and to catch myself when I'm spinning down. Sometimes I'll say, okay, you want to go rehash what you did at 20 with that first husband of yours and be totally miserable about it? Fine, go for it. Or do you want to maybe have a cupcake and watch television in the middle of the afternoon, because you can if you want?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I'll be 70 here in just a few weeks.
Yeah,
well, but see, I really don't feel 70. I feel like I'm in my 40s.
Well, right. So both of those are numbers.
Yeah, but it just and it has to do a lot with what I have to still accomplish, and what I'm creating. So it's my wife says she's never seen me work this hard. I was before I became a podcaster and a men's coach, a men's life coach. I was a periodontal regenerative surgeon for years, for about 33 years. And that was mentally and physically taxing work.
Yes.
But it was, I don't feel that age. And maybe part of it is the fact that I did not get married till I was 40.
Well, that'll give my son hope.
Yeah.
Hasn't met the right person yet.
Yeah, well, there's also that he can talk to me, but I'll be his counselor. But I was not there were many things that put me into the category of had I gotten married. I'd been engaged multiple times, but had I gotten married, I would have been divorced multiple times. I was a child in a man's body, and so it was good that I didn't get married till I was 40, and we're happily married and doing well. But and maybe that's why I feel like I'm in my 40s or 50s, because I still feel like there's so much life. There's so much life left to live, and so many things still left to do.
Yeah.
That I'm not slowing down. That's why I said, when I used to, when I was talking about people about their treatment, and people would tell me, "Oh, I'm too old for that," and I'd look at them, and they're like 45.
Oh.
Well, and I say, "Oh, I'm too old. I'm too old for that." And I'd look at them, and I actually would say this, like, "Do you actually know when you're going to die?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is there? Do you have a secret message about when you're going to die? Because do you really want to spend the rest of your years in this condition?
Yeah.
And so it was interesting. But I think your mindset is probably one of the biggest things to aging well.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And your health. And I mean basic maintenance. I don't mean catastrophic things happening to you. I mean just you got to get out there and move your body, and you have to eat properly. You have to do you should do all of that stuff if you want to age well. Your body is crying for you because it's willing, like yours, it's willing to get better.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it really is. It's amazing. And you certainly know this. So yeah, but it is. I meet so many women now. I totally believe in all the beauty maintenance that are available to both men and women. So I've done all of that, And because people say, well, you know, you look so good because you've had a facelift, you do Botox, you know, and it's like, then go get your effing facelift then.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't look at me. I went through it. Didn't turn out to be hard at all, actually. You know, research your surgeons and make sure you trust them. And
don't get Kenny Rogers. Don't get Kenny Rogers surgeon.
Well, you know, and those are the ones they bring up. But all the people you've never heard of that
exactly
know they've had a facelift. Or the fact that I haven't gotten enormously heavy, you know, something like that. I mean, that I still do yoga, and I have scoliosis. I have a shifting pelvis. I mean, my chiropractor would not really approve. I'm sitting on a straight chair, but I'm kind of leaning back, and, you know, I should sort of be sitting like this. The fact that I'm straight requires daily maintenance. I have arthritis all through my lower back, and every morning I get up and I look like I'm 95 until I have gotten my yoga mat out and gotten down on my hands and knees and done child pose and this, and then I go for a walk for 2 miles along the beach every day. And some days it's like, I don't want to, some days I don't. I'll just stay home and have my coffee on the balcony first thing, as opposed to a 2-mile walk. But I've been physically active since my teens.
Do you need accountability? Are you looking to change the course of your life but have failed to keep on track? Too often we take in information and fail to act. Do you need an accountability program to stay the course? Then go to www.thestandard.academy and find out about my accountability program that goes with my course that helps you find out what you want, why you want it, and how to get it. The accountability program keeps you on track to get results.
Well, I think, you know, I have a morning ritual that I go through that sets the tone for my day. And there are days that it's really good, and there are days that I'm just going through it. But I never know when the good days are going to show up and when the days that I'm just going through it are going to show up. So you just do it every day. I will tell you, I'm a big believer in all things. I spend a good number of my episodes of my podcast have been talking with they call it functional medicine, but no one, when you say functional medicine, no one knows what you mean. Anti-aging medicine. And so I spent a lot of time talking to doctors about stem cells, about PRP, about peptides, all sorts of things. And I think that they have a big place in the quality of your life.
Yeah, which you didn't mention, and which totally gets debunked is estrogen, hormone replacement for women.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, the minute I turned 65, my doctor said, that's it, no more. And I said, oh, no. Changed doctors, found a woman who's pro estrogen, you know, and that one I don't bring up much, because so many people say, well, I've had breast cancer. Well, I get my mammogram every single year. I get one like every 4 years.
Yeah, I interviewed a physician about this. She's big into anti-aging space, and she says that's the studies on that about that are some of the worst things that happen to women's health. She said they're totally flawed, and the same thing about testosterone. Yeah. I mean, I've been on testosterone for 25 years.
So my son-in-law just started it.
Oh yeah, so
54 or something like that.
Yeah, and I've interviewed lots of people in that space, and it's amazing. My primary care physician and I we don't go at it because after 25 years he's wrong. You know? Yeah, he's wrong. And he's starting to prescribe it to some of his patients, but probably not in a strong enough dose. But it's a great way to keep yourself young and offset some of the effects of aging. And I think
the women still go through menopause in their middle 50s. Like they did hundreds of years ago, but we live so much longer. We're not dying 5 years later. And why is it the one thing that is good for women that keeps your sex life alive, keeps your skin good, helps your muscles, your skeleton, everything? Why do why have they decided to throw that out and say, oh, you might get breast cancer? The one thing. And if you go into the statistics of breast cancer, if you get a terrible, like anything, if you get the really bad news one, then yes, that's sad. But 99, I don't want to throw out figures, most people survive breast cancer.
Yeah.
I wrote a big thing once about the history of a woman's breast. And it starts from when you're waiting for them to show up when you're 11. Or looking as I did around the classroom and noticing I was the only girl in the classroom through our Catholic school uniforms. I could see all of them had bras. Some of them I knew didn't even need a bra. And that was the day I went home to my mother and said, I need a bra. But you go from that to then your beloved loves your breast, then your baby sucks like hell on them, then your pregnancies blow them up and bring them down, they get battered like hell. And then they tell us that they're going to kill us if we don't go in there and have them crushed every year. And then God forbid, when estrogen comes along, something that will help you feel better and look better and everything about it.
Sure. Sleep, everything.
Because we're still programmed to have it die off at about 55, as opposed to it should maybe last till 75 or 85, 95. How about one doctor once, they said, well, how long did you let your mother stay on estrogen? And he said, oh, till the day she died, and she died at 95. So I could get into the the women situation rant, but I don't think that's what this is about today, so I won't.
Well, I think we gotten a gist of it.
Yeah, let's talk about Roe versus Wade, shall we?
Yeah. There's actually I've addressed this with several physicians who actually three of them are gynecologists. And there are actually 3 women gynecologists.
Yes, good.
And
so, subject.
Well, yeah, it's sometimes it just makes it more. It's more personal because actually all of them are past that. They're actually on bioidentical. So of course they are. And
my kind of women.
yeah. So now let's since we're talking about this, and we ended up you start talking, you used the word already, so you gave me a segue. So let's talk about the importance, or the lack of importance, of sex and relationships.
Oh, very important. Most important thing. But I one time somebody said to me, what did she say? Do you still think having sex is important? And my answer always is yes. It's very important, whether you're having it with someone or with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it active.
Yeah.
Unless for some reason you don't like what an orgasm feels like. I don't know. I do know some people that say, well, I just can't. And that's the other thing they'll say, have a hysterectomy. It affects your orgasm. Think twice. I've had more women say to me, if I had known, because they were just saying that as a preventative measure, if, for instance, you're on estrogen.
Yeah.
But I think and in relationships, I have a lot of friends, I don't have sex with them, but I think sex is put there more for than just this biological urge to have children, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a big factor, especially in relationships, and even more so if you're in a committed relationship. I think
that's a good point.
It's a huge factor, and it keeps people together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than just a penis in a vagina. It's more than that. If that's all it's about, then the woman needs to instruct her man that there's more to it than this, and women have got a lot more going on. Yeah.
Even though that finished, come back and do some more for her, because she can go on.
Well, and that's true. I think that the other thing is that people don't continue to develop as lovers.
My marriages, I've never had a long term. My marriages were 12 years and 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And And then there was 7 years in between that. And then since my divorce, I've only been in one serious relationship. And then I've mentioned this before, I had stopped drinking, so that, and then I was also sort of, my mother had died, and so my father was in the picture. And so I just didn't have it in me for a committed relationship. I sort of think I'm ready. I have some people that think I'm ready, but I'm not sure, but I think it's also important when you're alone, you should masturbate.
Mhm.
And I shouldn't use the word should. If you want, it's there for you for free. And if you think it's boring and you can't figure it out, then get yourself a vibrator. And if you're a woman, and of course, if you're a woman, I mean, women, obviously, get a little pink one. That's the first thing my daughter gave me when I divorced my second husband. That opened a whole new world. It's like, oh my God, this is so easy.
I actually interviewed a sex therapist, and she actually has a talk show in Vancouver. But I did get her to tell me and my listeners that she has a vibrator in every room.
Oh, every room. I only have mine in my vibrator in my bedroom, but I do have 3.
Yeah, no, she has one in every room.
Good for her. She's got the right. Hey, this seems like a good idea. I'm bored.
You're gonna go there. You're gonna go on Amazon and order some right
Oh yeah,
now.
yeah, that's the place.
Yeah, or if they have it in Costco, they'd sell them in a box of 6.
I've got a cute little sex store down the street. I live in Long Beach, and there's a cute little sex store down the street across from the marijuana store, and the restaurants and everything else. But there they are. It's so different from. I could ask my mother anything about sex. I mean, she wasn't. She grew up not on a farm per se, but she was very pragmatic about it. And she and my father were married for 60 years, 50. Well, I forget, 50 or 60 years. They had to get married back in 1943 in Louisville, Kentucky. It was terrible with my older brother. But anything I needed to ask, I would ask her first, because one time I kind of finally said, you have to tell me exactly how you get pregnant, Mom, because my best friend, I was 12, my best friend is going to tell me, and I'm going to let her if you don't. So she told me, and I was like, oh, God, Dad, you got to be kidding me. And she was like, and she had a Southern, and just remember this, Ruthie, if you're doing it with someone you love, it feels good. It's a good thing, but you have to be in love.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time we were, must have been sixth grade or something like that, 7th grade. And my friend found out about sex and how babies are made. Yeah. And he was thoroughly convinced that there had to be another way. There had to be another way to make babies.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
He just couldn't imagine his parents having sex. And he's like, there has to be another way you can make a baby. He was just thoroughly convinced that.
Yeah, the whole thing about it, we bury our faces into each other's genitals. What's up with that? I know. Well, sometimes people are always saying, I just can't imagine my parents having to do. It just freaks me out. I one time said to someone, you know what? It freaks us out just as much to think of our children having sex. So you're not alone in that issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruth, is there anything that you think about that concerns you or makes you fearful?
What do you mean? On what particular topic are we
talking? No, just in general. If you say, is there anything that concerns you?
Well, this isn't a political thing, is it? So
it can be. I mean, everybody knows that. I'm pretty conservative, so.
You're conservative? Oh, then never mind.
Go ahead. I'm fine.
When Trump was elected, my world fell apart. I couldn't believe our country could elect such a man, and still there's that faction that believes him and all the rest. And that is the first time ever, and I do a lot of overseas traveling, that I felt concerned. And when they pushed in that, just before he went out of office, they pushed through that extremely conservative, white Supreme Court justice, and I had sent money and all the rest, and she just got slammed in there. That's the first time I woke up and thought, this is what a person of color feels like. That's the first time I felt like I was not heard at all as a woman. And then the same thing happened with Roe versus Wade in kind of the same kind of way. So and then And they're just, what it gave to rise, what I said to myself too at the time was, look at, this has alerted people to the faction of people who are dissatisfied and have reason to be dissatisfied. Not that he fixed the damn thing for them, not at all. They don't know that. You know, it's kind of like an intelligent but uneducated person. They're scary because they're intelligent, but they don't believe in science. They don't believe in the facts. They don't believe in whatever. And all they say is, one of my sisters, we grew up in a very liberal family. But one of my sisters of 6 children is gay, and she's the only one who voted for Trump and thinks Biden is a crook. And, you know, and then now Roe versus Wade. So, and I remember being 23 when that was passed, and we felt like there was we were getting, not so much, I was like, I'm not looking for power, because this is the thing, is I don't really like to talk about politics because I'm too enraged and basically powerless. I can do what I want. I can throw my money wherever I want, but there's something going on now that I personally have no control. I don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand these people. My sister and I, with all of us, we all talk about her behind her back, but we love her and she loves us. And so with each other, we don't talk about it. You know, it's just, we just don't, because there's so much else in life. And that's, you know, part of my good-hearted platform, or being a humorist, or finding joy and amazement in getting older, which, you know, but there's so much in this world too, that, so besides politics, then on the side of just women that go around feeling victimized about getting older, and I just don't feel heard and all that. I have I'm not afraid of that one, but that's another whole thing that I don't understand, people who think it's cool to be miserable, you know, or think it's cool to defend an obvious narcissistic, you know, beyond jerk, crook, a bad guy, you know, or, you know, approve of the war in Ukraine, and, you know, whatever, all those people. It's just, or they look at a Black person and don't see a person. They see, you know, with blood inside of them, just like us. You know, I grew up all over the place, including living in Europe for 3 years when I was a teenager. And so I know what it feels like to be kind of the outsider, or going into, I call myself a sociologist, because in all of these new places, I had to learn to do it their way, which is okay with me. You know, someone said, well, you're not being true to yourself. Yes, I am. I'm being alert and aware and paying attention, and, you know, and coming to my own conclusions. And so what was your original question? What am I afraid of, or what am I?
What are you concerned about? Is there anything outside of politics, which obviously we're not going to agree on?
Yeah.
But what else? What side do you worry about? How you age? Do you worry about being incapacitated? Anything like that?
What was the last thing you said?
Incapacitated.
Oh, well, yeah. No, but I figure that's a complete and total waste of time. I mean, it will cross my mind. You see these little stairs. I do have a backdrop, but I just couldn't, it's hot here today. I just couldn't be bothered to put it up. It's a very short little flight of stairs there. And my daughter, when I moved into this place a couple of years ago, she said, Mom, be careful about those stairs. And I said, how old do you think I am? You think I'm going to fall down those stairs? You know, I mean, I think worrying about 8 years into my sobriety, I gave back myself my trust in my gut instinct. And about 10 years into it, I forgave myself for my 20s. And then the latest one, a few years ago, I said, I'm going to give up anxiety. Now, all of this takes practice, you know, I mean, but anxiety, that circle of worrying about the same thing over. I'm a writer. I've kept journals now for 40 years, and I've got them stacks. I've got to throw them out before. They're not for anybody to read. They're so mundane and boring. I can't tell you. It's my own personal, you know, therapy. But worried about the same thing all the time. For instance, money. Money is a classic one. You know, I'm worried about money, Nothing's ever happened really, you know, but I was going to worry about it. The other day I said to myself, you want to worry about something? You want to worry about that again? Or do you want to worry about the fact that, you know, you're this much closer to death, girl? That sort of put it in perspective. I think worrying about being anything like that, being incapacitated, or it's a waste of time.
Mhm.
And why do it to your organs? I now talk to my organs, not just my skin or my face or or, how I'm doing. I say thank you to my liver. My liver loves me. I just say thank you to my heart. Heart is the issue in our family. And have I ever had a doctor say to me anything besides, have you had a mammogram and get off estrogen? Have they ever said anything about my heart? No. That's what runs in the family. But no, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel I worry less about things I don't have control. It's a bridge I will cross when I get there. I have a sister right now who's gradually dying, or not dying. She's very healthy, but she's in about her 6th year of Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
And it's awful to watch it, you
Yeah.
know. Now, luckily, it's not like she doesn't know. She still knows because she gets angry and my brother refuses unless they can stay together. He won't put her someplace. So they're going to get at-home help and so on. I would worry about that if I got that kind of a diagnosis, and would I have the nerve to off myself before I got so that I was a burden on other people? I don't want to be a burden on other people.
Mhm.
But I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. If that even ever happens, never happened to my father.
Sure. You never know. You never know. And that there's nothing you can really, well, there are things you can do about it in terms of therapy, but
Yeah. Oh, sure.
yeah, but you just have to deal with things as they come along. So
Exactly.
what do you see for yourself between now and 80?
Now in 80.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to write my 4th book, and I started one during the pandemic, but the reason for it and what it was about sort of petered out as the pandemic gradually has faded to a certain kind of new normal thing going on.
Mhm.
This is the new normal. But anyway, so I was recently challenged by a marketing expert who was talking to me about something, and I was saying, well, I'm saying we get on the speaker circuit. There's no money in writing books, and I'd like to make some money, and and I mean, I'm okay, but I really, that's something I haven't really conquered in my life. I've done everything else but that particular thing, and very nice husbands and daddies who, whatever. And he said, well, you wanted to be a model when you were a teenager. Why don't you take it up now? And I went, well, he said, all about the Silver Sisters, and there's this vast move out there for older women models coming back and putting older women, up front, and not modeling in a fashion magazine, because obviously that isn't going to happen. But it's called, I now know, commercial and print modeling. And I said, well, all right. And he said, the first thing you got to do, though, is get professional headshots. So I went out and that dropped me into this whole world that I know absolutely nothing about,
Mhm.
except that I certainly know fashion and, and got the personality and the looks, but getting noticed, and especially in LA, and how do you even start? That's what I'm doing right now. And so for the next, between now and 80, I hope by 80 that I'm a successful commercial model, that I'm
Mhm.
finding that interesting. I have another kind of mentor, and she said to me, well, why do you want to go into modeling besides the money? And, because just in case that doesn't happen or whatever. And it was one of those that gave me pause for thought. And I realized that another part of it, and was helped also by the pandemic, but for 35, 45 years, however long I've been writing, that's a job you do by yourself. You're at home with your
Mhm.
laptop and your thoughts day in and day out.
Sure.
And there's nobody that works on that project with you until it's over. People say, well, I'll just send it to the editor. No, you don't send it to the editor anymore. You are the editor. They don't have time for it, nor the patience. I don't have. People will send me their work and say, could you just edit this for me? No, sorry. But so that getting out in the modeling world as the model, where somebody else has written it, somebody else has conceived of the idea, and what I have to do is be told what to do and memorize lines. I didn't realize I was going to have to be memorizing lines. Got to get better at that. That I'm part of a collaborative effort and somebody else is telling me what to do. That feels lovely to me. It's a way to meet people. It's a whole new world. I'm keeping notes. It might be a book, who knows? But that's what I see between now and 80.
Well, that's something good, something to look forward to.
And something I'm afraid of. So that I think I've been nervous. I took 2 classes this summer. One was taught by the bad cop and one was the good cop. And the bad cop was a big casting director here in Los Angeles. I actually live in Long Beach. I can't stand LA, but anyway, and he was just tough. It was a Zoom class and there were just 4 of them. And we had to do, the point is, by the end of that class, even though I was completely afraid, completely in over my head, they were all young, struggling actresses and actors who were stepping down to try and do commercial, acting. I'm like, he said, throw all your acting information out the window. You are selling a product. You're a salesperson. I'm thinking, yay, I don't have any, acting experience to throw out the window. I never wanted to be an actor. I'm not a good actor. I'm not a good actress, But that it was scary. But then when I finally, I'm on a casting network and I've gotten a couple of requests this is a big deal, a couple of requests to send in my audition self-tape, and
Sure.
haven't gotten any yeses yet. It's going to be a slow, but my one in New York is a mentor. She's lovely. She's 72. She's been in the field. She's not an agent or anything, but she's saying, do this, do that, do this, do that, submit, submit, submit. I said, that's my middle name right now is Submit. Which doesn't sound quite right in another.
Yeah, it depends on what context is.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, and so I'm almost having to eat my words that I'm always saying in my book, which here it is keep curiosity alive, a willingness to try something that, like, your friends will say, I can't do that, I'm too old. I took up roller skating again. I didn't take it up new. I used to be a fantastic roller skate. I could not stay up on those roller skates. Somebody said my wheels are too fast, but it doesn't matter. I decided I don't want to do any sport that requires you wear a helmet. Speaking of bravery.
There we go. Well, Ruth, I want to thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a wonderful conversation, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you modeling and selling stuff.
Yeah. I've had a Facebook, an AAA, and a Medicare auditions for, which is a big deal. I didn't get the audition I did for Medicare was so bad. It was a complicated one. He said, it's really too bad. You do have to do all these on your own now. You're expected to be a cinematographer. We're sorry about it, but at least you don't have to leave your house, drive all the way in, walk in there for 5 minutes, leave, and that's it. So that part is good, but the next one I aced. So we'll see. I've just started. Wonderful.
All right, folks, some wisdom on aging and some tips to do, and a little politics, which we were surprised. But that's okay too.
Yes, it is. It is good. My life personally hasn't changed.
All right, folks. So there's a few things I want you to do. I want you to, opt in if you haven't already and get my free digital magazine. Go to the standard.academy/magazine. And there's lots of stuff in there that will help you create that kick-ass life that you want for yourself and those that you love. And also, I want you to share, rate, review this podcast. That's right. Do that. And if you want to give me a bad review, that's fine too. I can tolerate that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty thick-skinned. Actually, I'm so old, I don't really care.
Exactly. That's it.
I'm so old that I don't care.
No,
so until next time.
Thank you for joining Dr. Hormone and his incredible guest. Like what you heard and learned? Then be sure to do 3 things. 1, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. 2, share this with someone who may need to hear it. 3, leave a review and rate this podcast. Opt in at www.thestandard.academy/magazine and get our free digital magazine with savings, articles, and deeper dives into cool controversy. Be the guy who takes action. Without action, you're not going to get the results you want. Thank you again, and make it a great day.